Hi everyone, welcome back to the Cyber Core Skills course. Before we sort of move on within Windows domains, I wanted to sort of make sure we covered off designing a domain and prove not just that I don't sort of wing it and build and just plan IPs as I go on, and a lot of the time when I'm practicing by myself I will, but for these lessons I'll always make sure I plan them first and have a diagram to go off of, and then at least something it's that I can either go back to and modify if things change, or that I can rely on and prove that the domain is as set to a set specification. So one of the websites I use is this Visual Paradigm. It's really easy. So the case is I've already updated the GitHub repositories. I've already signed up to it, so the links are already within the GitHub repositories for the course. And once you're signed in, you can jump onto this area. You can build up infographics or export documents and things like that. So this is just an example of a network diagram that I did for recent, I think it was the VIOS video that I did, just to prove the Ubuntu machines, the Kali boxes could speak to each other. And so now what I'm going to do is just quickly build the domain and plan it out for our next set of lessons really, and get you a part of it and show you where I come from and my thought process. So instantly I'm just looking at this and I can't see any real servers or switches or routers, so part of that I'm just going to sort of search for them, pull them out, and then start planning the design as I go. So server, just within search, and see all the results. So these are our Cisco diagrams, but these are our more sort of Azure and AWS, so that can be my domain controller, so as an authentication server. This can be my file server, so that will be holding our files. This can be our web server, so it doesn't have to be Windows, as I'll probably explain later, but just for now I'm going to be having a Windows IIS web server. A lot of the time that will require a database backend to support things like logons or folder structures or even blog posts. So a common thing that we build is WordPress servers, which requires an SQL database. For this I'm only going to have a very sort of 2D website, and as a part of that I don't really require a database, but we're going to be touching base on that later on using MySQL. I'm also going to have a mail server, and because I can't see a mail server, hold on, I'll just type mail, or maybe the word exchange might work. Exchange, conditional access, nope. I'll leave that on. Try mail again. No, I'm going to stick with the sort of same diagram. So domain controller, file server, exchange server, and my web server there. So that's going to be Microsoft IIS. What I'm going to do is a couple of clients, and I think I'm planning a Windows 10 and a Windows 11, and I don't think I'm going to be able to pull off the actual operating system. I doubt it'll have anything. Nope. Windows 10, nope. Oh, here we go. I could just use these. So I'm going to have Windows 10. I'll have Windows 11. Purple, very nice. And I'll have an Ubuntu box as well, or Linux. And the reason why I want to bring this in is that you can use, so without going too technical, domain controllers use LDAP authentication for networks, or secure LDAP if we're doing it properly and using multiple vendors. And as part of this, LDAP is lightweight Active Directories authentication, and we can use the domain controller to authenticate and log on as a user from that onto the Ubuntu box. No, it's not normally done, but if you want to sort of share permissions using different services and sort of try not to dive too deep, but using Samba services we can access our network resources. So we have to establish this as in a realm, and we've got our Windows 11 box and our Windows 10 box. So let's put these on a switch and give them IP addresses and host names, and then that's what we can build from there. So I just move these down. I'm switching that there, but it might make it easier to plan. And hold on. So we can add our logical switch here. We can even name it. So hold on. Have I got VMware open? So this will be a logical switch which sits within VMware or a vCenter, for example. And then just quickly diving off on that, I can add in a bit of a straight line onto it from each of these boxes. So cool. And then 5, 1, 2. I know you don't need to be watching me do this, but it might give something in the meantime. And then 1, 2, and then all I'm going to do is quickly show you how to add the text in, save it, and then I'll add the rest of the details on and show you the finished product in the domain construction video. Cool. So we've got our we've got our links here. So within the physical world, this would be an RJ45 more than likely, going to a gigabit port with probably a Cisco switch or some type of switch. But now we're just doing it virtually, so they're going to sit on a virtualized logical switch within VMware, and we're just going to quickly drop in and add some text. So if I just add our text here, and we can configure the font. If everyone wants to come, I'll just make it larger, just so we can actually drag and drop it. And then DC. And it's IP, default gateway, and DNS. That's probably the key things. And obviously 192.168. I could do 1, but I'm going to do 10 just to spin it off, and then .1 and /24. If you're thinking where's your subnet mask going to be, I'm just adding it as a CIDR. So that's going to be a class C. Default gateway, I haven't got one on here because I'm not going to be going outside the LAN. If I was, I could set up a VIOS within the virtual environment that we've got and send traffic via that to another client, so that's not an issue if I wanted to do that. 192.168.10.254 is sort of my practice, and it's a few other practices to have your default gateway towards the back end. And then DNS, you can support DNS through other servers, but within this one I'm just going to be supporting it locally on the domain controller. So the domain controller's DNS is going to be 127.0.0.1 because it's going to look at it itself for DNS resolutions, but every other box is going to be looking at the domain controller for its DNS. So that's going to be 192.168.10.1. Cool. So we've shown you how to set that up. I'm just going to quickly shrink that text probably to 15. Yeah, that looks better, and move it left just to be nice and in line. Cool. So we've got our domain controller with its IP address, subnet mask and default gateway and DNS set. The only thing it's missing is we've named it DC, and it's going to be the domain controller. We could name it DC01 if we wanted multiple, and it does support multiple IP addressing. The bus does support multiple domain controllers, but also we've not really decided on our domain name yet, which I'll add on to the end of this DC. So I'm just going to add it here. So it's going to be .core cyber skills course. Cool. And .lan. Brilliant. So that's going to be our domain name. So it's our fully qualified domain name is dc.corecyberskillscourse.lan. Brilliant. So that's going to be duplicated on each of these as well. So this will be client Windows 11.ccsc.lan. Brilliant. I'll show you when it's done. So we're back. So this is the domain plan that I've made for our future video. So domain controller, file server, exchange server and web server, all within one domain, CCSC. And then I've got 3 clients hanging off of that, Windows 10, Windows 11 and the Ubuntu, which I said will deal with realms. That's going to be quite a good little lesson on the back burner. I'm going to set all passwords to our power password, so capital P at SSW0RD. Bad for security, but very good just for training and getting things done very quickly. And I've sort of done a very basic user plan at the bottom there. So I've got a user, test user password as our power password, and then just so we can bring in some other advanced techniques, so things like group policy, permissions, and a theory called AGDLP. I've got global groups, local groups with 2 different permissions set onto a test folder, which this test folder is going to be located on our file server here. So in theory, our user is going to reach there. So whenever a user logs on, it's going to authenticate against the domain controller, and then whatever we access our files are going to be down to the file server, but it's also going to authenticate permissions based on what groups they're in, security groups, on our domain controller, and we'll see that at the next video. Thanks very much for watching.